everyone, today I'll be reviewing this movie. It is on Netflix. It's called Fall, and this movie it is starring Grace Fulton, and this movie is directed by Scott Mann. And this movie's trailer I saw a couple of months ago, and it was already out. And this movie it is all Netflix. I don't know if it's everywhere or not. So in this movie you see Becky after losing her husband in a mountain climbing accident. After losing her husband, Dan, she's trying to, like, in this movie, actually this movie starts with such a ridiculous scene where the way like her husband died in this movie, it was really, I was like, whoa, it was really very ridiculous, that scene. Obviously that scene was shot on a green screen because you cannot do this like in real life and not die. But that guy, he died. After his death, we see Becky, she's trying to move on with her life. Or should I say, she actually thinks in this movie starts with like thinking to end herself. Couple of times in this movie starts with. Then we see later in this movie when her best friend Hunter, she shows up in this movie and she tells her, hey, let's go on this adventure, like, because they like climbing stuff. So she tells her to climb this I guess this radio tower. It is 2,000 feet long and it's out of nowhere, and she just tell her, oh, let's go climb that thing. I don't know why anybody will climb that thing, but she tells her, let's go climb it, it will cheer you up. And in this movie it also have Jeffrey Dean Morgan, like he's playing her dad. And this movie starts with like he basically tells her like, why you are crying for Dan? He was really mean guy, you know, like he tried to imply her something. And I was thinking, really? That means, of course, I don't know why Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he was in this movie, but his character was really short, and like the weird way they introduced him in this movie. So this movie, the reason I'm like mentioning on this, all this thing, beginning this movie, it starts with like she's trying to end herself. When she was climbing that tower, and a couple of times she was really scared to fall from that tower. I was like, why you are so scared? You tried to end yourself many times. Why you care about dying so much? So this movie lost a couple of points for that. That means that I think this movie does have a lot of scene. You were like, whoa, what is happening? Like, no way in real life this thing will happen. Like, this movie does ask you to suspend all your belief. Couple of times, not like all the time, couple of times it asks you. But still, somehow, this movie was actually pretty interesting and engaging, like, because of the center actress. Her name is Grace Fulton. She is going to be a newest Shazam movie. She's actually really good in this movie, and also she is really pretty. So it's really like I really buy her when she was all in this situation. And of course, her best friend Hunter, she was really like, the minute I'm gonna be in spoiler, I will tell her about her character. I guess there is a couple of twists and turn about this movie. I was like, whoa, that is really surprising. And obviously in this movie starts with, you know, the Dan character, he dies, then we learn more about him. End of this movie, you don't care about Dan, you are like glad he died. So that was to that. Overall, this movie really surprised me. I was like, what am I watching? This movie did reminded me another movie. It is only centers around one actress, and it is called Shallow, starring Blake Lively. This movie took some of inspiration from that movie, although that movie takes place in ocean and with a shark. This movie takes place in a tower, and how she survived, it was okay. But throughout, this movie does have a lot of jump scare here and there, like horror style. I was like, oh, that is very interesting choice to make this movie, like, I guess, interesting for audience. Although this movie, it is a little bit drag, I would say, overall, this movie. But this movie isn't bad, honestly. I was thinking this movie gonna be wasting of much time, but overall, this movie, it was like it is okay. Like, it's not a good movie, but it isn't bad either. I think this movie is okay. It's worth checking if you like this kind of surviving story. Although this movie starts such a, like, as I say, it is little plot hole for me, because this girl, she tried to end herself many times. I don't know why. If she was falling down, she was really scared. Although I get it. She was like traumatized because her husband died. falling from the mountain. So she was traumatized. I'll go into the spoiler about her friend now. So this movie really, so spoiler warning, when her best friend Hunter, she died in this movie, I was like, oh, it is really, like, it's really good when she dies, because she was really this manipulative character, Obviously, she was sleeping with her best friend husband, and the husband was really cheating douchebag, and that was the reason, I guess, Geoffrey Dean Morgan, he was like, oh, why you are crying over her? This movie, does have a lot of stuff, but overall, I think it was interesting movie. It was little successful movie at the box office. Like, this movie I was looking into, it's cost only $3 million to make, but this movie actually made, I think, $19 million. So I think it was a hit movie for Lionsgate, their small studio now, and it is on Netflix now. And that's my thought on this movie. Let me know in the comment what do you think about this movie, and if you enjoyed this review, don't forget my other reviews on other Netflix movie. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. Until I see you next time, please take care.